Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to New York Islanders franchise mode here in NHL 25. So in last episode, if you did not catch it, we took on the Philadelphia Flyers in the first round of playoffs, and we did manage to beat them, which is great because I was kind of concerned that our team could fall off in the playoffs a little bit. But as you can see, we won the series in 6 games. It was a pretty back and forth series early on. A lot of tight games. As you can see, we won game 1 2-1. Then we lost in overtime 4-3, so a split on home ice. Then we went on the road, won 5-3, then lost 6-3. So 2 offensive explosions for both teams in that. So at that point, I'm thinking, oh, this is definitely one of those 7-game series. Well, the last 2 games of that series, we dominated them completely. We continued to find our offensive game a lot, and we also reverted back to playing great defensively like we were in the first game, so we won 6-1 and 7-1 to close them out. But now we have to go run into another Pennsylvania team, that being the Pittsburgh Penguins, and the Penguins were better than us during the season, so this is probably going to be one of the toughest tasks we have this entire playoff run, and I'm really hoping that we can find a way to beat them because they are obviously a pretty damn good team, and I'm pretty sure they haven't won a cup yet at this point, so they're just as hungry as us to get one. But let me show you guys what their roster looks like again, just in case you forgot. Then we'll get into the comments, and then we'll get into the second round matchup and see if we could find a way to beat them as well. Hopefully we could get back to that conference finals again, because we've been obviously in the conference finals and the cup finals every single year for like the last 8 seasons, which is insane. So would like to keep that streak alive, because this is probably one of our last chances at a Stanley Cup. So anyways, here's what Pittsburgh's looking like. You can see why they've been so good. As you can see, they have a very solid top line of Escalainen, Pettinen, and Waters. Definitely got to shut down that top line if we want to have any chance to win. Aside from that, they do have some okay depth options in, like, say, the second, third, and fourth line. But they aren't necessarily the strongest offensive core outside of those guys. Trevik is an 84, and Rishis is an 83. This guy's been their best player so far in the playoffs, which is weird. He's a 79 overall, but he's got 7 points in 6 games, so I guess some of these lower end overall guys, even though they don't really look that hard to play up against, they could definitely make a difference. So it is going to be tough to play against them. They do have good center depth as well. Obviously, having like Dominguez as a third line center is really good. So definitely going to be a good matchup, I think, on the offensive side of things. And then defensively, they are also pretty well built up. Their defense has 3 really good players: Perry, Ivanov, and Dadonov. Cabrera is not too bad. He's only 25 as well, so he could get better. And then their top 6 pairing is a couple former Islanders in Sierra and Pecker, so got to go through some former guys, of course, as we typically do. And then from a goaltending standpoint, they do have Robin Teifel, who has been a very good goaltender. We had him as a draft prospect. We never signed him. I kind of regret it in a way, because he's been a Pittsburgh Penguin for his entire career, and he's been really good. Kind of an underrated goaltender. A .918 save percentage this entire season. And so far in the playoffs through 6 games, he has a .934 save percentage. So he's been a pretty good goaltender. Kind of wish we maybe gave him a chance in the early days, but we didn't realize he was going to develop. So should be an interesting second round matchup. I don't think we've played the Penguins too many times in the playoffs. I think we played them like 1 or 2 more times before this, but definitely something that doesn't happen very often. So hoping that we can find a way to beat them and get ourselves to that conference finals, and hopefully beyond that as well, because like I said, this is probably our last chance at a Stanley Cup. But anyways, before we get into this matchup with the Pittsburgh Penguins, let's get in your guys' comments, see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we'll make sure we're set up and ready to go for game number 1. So the first and only comment is from Dylan Burrows, who says, "Thank goodness you won it, so you don't have to listen to me complain about not playing injured players," with a laughing face. And yeah, I didn't really want to call you out on obviously the injury related stuff, but yeah, I guess I technically was without saying. But the main reason why I do not like to play injured players, it's more just the guys that at least get like seriously injured. Like, I could understand if a guy has like a day-to-day injury, like playing him still, because he'll come back and he might get injured for another day, but it might not be that long term. Meanwhile, guys like, say, Crane, if Crane came back to the lineup right now fully healthy, or not fully healthy, like 90% healthy, and if he got re-injured again after that, he would basically be out for the rest of the year. So I don't think that would be worth the risk. That's why I would do that type of thing. That's the same with Houghton, and why we brought him back when he was fully healthy in the lineup last episode, is just because if he got injured, he would probably miss the rest of the playoffs as well. So I prefer like the long-term injuries to put people in lineup when they're fully healthy, and for like maybe short-term injuries, I could actually put them in the lineup because maybe they don't risk to be injured as easily. So Anyways, that was the only comment we got in the last episode. So in terms of our lineup, I think we got to keep it the same, considering we're coming off two very strong victories defensively and offensively. A person that's been a little bit of a revelation here in the playoffs is Mohamed Pollock, who's got 5 goals in 6 games. In his regular season so far, he had only 10 goals in the entire regular season. So he is kind of an underrated guy for that bottom 6. So I'm hoping he continues to play great, and hopefully we continue to get good depth scoring, because that's been definitely a little bit prominent with his team. And then a goaltending, obviously, Nicholas has been pretty solid at times, and I'm hoping he continues to be good. Also, Irwin was good when he did play games, so hopefully everything continues to work out as these last few games, especially. If I feel like any predictions for the series, I feel like obviously if we're not to win this series, we're gonna get completely slapped. That's my guess, basically. Just based on the fact that we destroyed in those last 2 games, I feel like there could be a game where we get completely slapped just because we kind of came out of nowhere with 2 big wins where we won 6-1 and 7-1. So my prediction here is maybe we lose game 1. But I'm not really too sure exactly, because like I said, the Penguins did finish above us, so maybe that makes us more of a cheese team than it looks like. Even though we're not technically a cheese team, we're just one of those teams that finish below a team that have a chance to knock out a higher seeded team. So I feel like we could definitely upset the Penguins, but obviously it's going to come down to, I guess, if we could contain that top line or not really. So with that said, I think we're ready to get into this matchup finally and see if we could find ourselves in a conference finals again. Winner will face either Florida or Toronto. And then in terms of the West, you have Utah, Minnesota, Calgary, and Seattle, which means Vegas, who won the Stanley Cup last year, has been eliminated. Edmonton, who won the Cup recently, or went to a finals recently, I think, has also been eliminated. Nashville, I don't think was a huge threat recently. Winnipeg, I don't think was either. So the Flames are probably the best team left in the West, just because we have played them in a Cup finals in the last few years. But anyways, with that said, let's get to game number 1 on the road in Pittsburgh. So we're staying in Pennsylvania. Can we find a way to get some road wins to start off the series? First period, game number 1. 1-0 Pittsburgh. Not terrible, but obviously sucks to be down by a goal after first period. It's Perry with the goal, so that's one of their defensemen, right? I think that was one of the 3 defensemen I was mentioning that are really good. Perry opens the scoring. Shots are 12-10 in favor of us, so we did generate some chances, but so far we can't find the offense we had in those last 2 games against the Flyers. Can we find it in the second period? Second period? The answer is yes, we can. Yes, we can. Howe scores, I think it might be one of his first career playoff goals, but to be honest, I don't know if he scored already, because there was a lot of people on our team that scored in that first round, so I don't know if that's his first or not. A couple minutes later, Mackinnon gives us the lead, so shots are now 26-20, so still a pretty even game, but glad to see our team was able to respond in that second period, because obviously, if we were still down 1-0, I'd be concerned that our team's offense would fall off a cliff, but we do get some goal scoring here in game 1, so let's see what happens in the third period, see if we can get an insurance marker and lock this game down. Third period underway. Come on, boys, let's get that next one. Don't really care who it is on our roster, but somebody please. Or just lock it down defensively, something like that, because I know we're a strong defensive team, so we can't do it, but it would be nice to get some insurance just to play it safe. Final few minutes here of game number 1. We're still locking him down defensively, and Bannister, of all people, scores. Let's go. DFD Bannister. He was actually really good in the first round, too. So nice little victory there. 3-1. So that's 3 consecutive games now. We've only given up a goal or less, obviously. So I do like that a lot. Shots were 38-29 in favor of us, so we outplayed them considerably. Teufel did keep his team in it, but that's a very good defensive effort, and that's the type of effort I want to see from this team, because if we could contain their top line, we definitely have chances to win games. Now, Pettinen and Waters did pick up points against us, but they were assist on a defenseman goal, so it's not like they were huge threats for us, or for them, I should say. So Howe's from Hybrid and Terry. Then we had Mackinnon from Samsonov, who's actually leading the team, Samsonov, surprisingly. And then Bannister scores his first goal of the playoffs from Trotter and Dempsey. So that's a nice little victory there on the road to start the series. Maybe it'll dictate the rest of the series. Maybe it won't even matter at the end of it, but nice victory for the team. Great performance again from Nicholas, who is starting to find his game quite a bit. He gets first star of the game, Mackinnon second star, and then Perry for them got third star, surprisingly. So a nice little victory in Pittsburgh. Hopefully we could take a second one. If we don't, it's not the end of the world, though. Like I said, taking at least one of these 2 road games is kind of a nice little thing to do, because obviously then you have a better chance to win the series once you go back to home ice. Anyways, that was a pretty textbook first game, so I think we're just going to keep the team the exact same. It's been on a roll as of late. Let's keep it going until stuff starts to fall apart, basically. So, game number 2, can we find a way to win another game in Pittsburgh and take a 2-0 series lead headed back to Long Island? First period. And it's 1-0 Pittsburgh again. So the one thing I don't like so far about this series against the Penguins is they've scored first in it, but it's such a small little detail, it doesn't really matter that much. Now, we did outshoot them 17-9, so their goaltender definitely had a really strong period again. So Teufel has definitely been probably Pittsburgh's MVP so far for these first 2 games, but they only have a 1-0 lead after 1. So we are still in this game, but we got to keep putting pucks to the net and dominating the rest of the game outside of the scoring to try and get this game tied, basically. So can we find a way to tie this game up in the second or do what we did exactly last game? Second period. Yes, we can. Okay, we do get the lead, and it was 3 unanswered goals. Mäkinen made it 1-1. Lockhart scored literally less than 10 seconds later, so 2 quick goals gave us a 2-1 lead. Houghton did score his first goal of the playoffs. Good to see that. Obviously, he returned recently back from injury. And then with 11 seconds left, Eskalainen scores. So I don't like that they pulled within 1 with 11 seconds left. That makes me feel like they have momentum going into the third. But we are up by a goal, which is great. So at least we scored 3 goals in that period. So another great second period, basically offensively. Shots are now 31-18, so we're dominating the flow of this game still. But we're only up by a goal. So let's hope that Nicholas can play strong in the third period and see if we can find a way to get some insurance just to play it safe. Third period underway, and they immediately tied it up on the power play, and they immediately take the lead on the power play, and that's exactly what I felt like was happening because they did tie it up late with 11 seconds left. Now, do we have an answer to that, though? Because we do have an offensive punch sometimes, but the Penguins came out flying to start this third period, and they get another one. Shervika makes it 5-3. Cook makes it 6-3. Oh my God, Fedorov makes it 7-3, a 5-goal against third period. And I was kind of expecting one of these type of games. Like I said, we dominated the last 2 games against the Flyers. I expected to get dominated in one of these games. And their big guys came to play. We were out shooting them like badly too going into the third. They immediately got early power play goals to set the momentum for that third period. And then they outshot us at the end of the game. So that's a very terrible performance in that third period especially. I don't know what the shots were like in that third period, but we got to take a look at that because that was insane. Yeah, we got outshot 20-6 in that third period. And they end up scoring a shit ton of goals and winning because of that 5-goal against third period. I do not like that performance whatsoever. I don't know who I would put the blame on that. Probably the defense more than the goaltending, but goddamn. And like I said, their top guys came to play, so that's probably the difference basically in that one. Because Eskalainen scored from Pettinen and Waters for them. Then you had Eskalainen again. Then you had Pettinen again. Then you had some other guys in their top 6. But yeah, Eskalainen and Pettinen definitely set the tone for the rest of that game, which is not great. It was a good second period, but aside from that, the rest of the game was not very good. But our goals anyways, Mäkinen from Lockhart and Samsonov, Lockhart from Samsonov, and Houghton from Carlson and Dempsey. Was anybody really badly minused in that third period? The answer to that is no. I guess it's because they had some power play goals, so it makes sense that their plus-minus isn't bad, but yeah, we got to be a lot better than that. An .816 save percentage from Nicholas doesn't really help things. Like I said, I don't fully blame Nicholas because he had to face 20 shots in that third period, but also he was not very good in this game still. He's going to probably be in that next game. We could give Irwin another game if we really want to. But we are definitely going to make some offensive/defensive adjustments. Offensively, maybe we don't need to make adjustments. It's more the defensive side of things. But at least we did take a game in Pittsburgh, because if we lost the first game as well, I would have felt a little bit off about it. But since we at least have a tie series headed home, it's better than being down 0-2. So I think for game 3, since we're headed back to home ice, I don't want to change anything offensively. I think defensively, though, I am going to put Houghton back on the top pairing with Schaefer. Holmstrom will play with Carlson, and we'll keep Smith and Bannister together. I know Smith was losing morale due to ice time, but I can't get him into the top 4 right now, unfortunately. And then goaltending-wise, I am going to give one more game to Irwin. I know it wasn't fully on Nicholas. So I don't blame him last game. But it was just a rough performance for him, so let's give Irwin another chance. He was very good in the only game he's played so far, too. So let's give Irwin another chance, and then we'll give Nicholas the next game after that again, as Crane is still out, unfortunately. He won't be back till like the conference finals quite late if we get there, which is unfortunate, but oh well. Okay, so that was a pretty rough game number 2. We make a goaltending adjustment, make a slight defensive adjustment. Is it enough to get us some wins on home ice to put us in a good spot? Because right now, I don't feel the safest after a game like that. I do like our first game a lot, but if we're all of a sudden giving up goals consistently, that's going to be a major problem going forward. Like I said, we got to contain their top guys if we want to win games, and that's still evident here through the first 2 games. So let's see what happens on home ice, see if we could find a way to respond after a brutal third period in that last game. First period, game 3. 1-0 Pittsburgh again. Now, they're out shooting us 17-10. Goddamn, that's not good. But good first period still from Irwin, even though he does give up a goal. And it is Perry, who is their defenseman that scored in game 1 as well. But so far in this series, we've not scored in the first period. And they've scored 3 straight games in the first period. So we need to be able to come to play a little bit early and find ways to score goals earlier in games and not basically relying on it the second period. Because I feel like most of our goals in the series have came in that second period. So we need to find a way to start spreading out the offense a bit throughout all 3 periods, basically. Can we find a way to tie this game up in the second period so it's an easier time potentially for the third? Second period. 2-1. Okay, I mean, it's still a close game. Eskalainen did make it 2-0 for them early on. Pollock gets on the board, so Pollock continues to be great. Obviously not so far in the second round. That's his first goal of the series, but in the first round he was brilliant. So hopefully that gets him going again. Shots are 28-21 in favor of the Penguins, but we're only down by a goal. So they're outplaying us a little bit, but we're only down by a goal. So we're still in this game. Just got to find a way to get that next one. And hopefully we could actually have a good third period and kind of do what they did to us last game. So third period underway. Can we find a way to tie this game up in the third? Yes, we can. Mäkinen ties it up at 2. He's been pretty good in the series, but they get an answer right back. It's Perry again. Perry's been a bit of a thorn in our side in the series so far, which is not great. Kind of surprising because he's a defenseman, I'm pretty sure, right? Unless he's one of their forwards, but I'm pretty sure he's that 87 overall D-man. Can we tie it? No, we can't yet because Urkamps makes it 4-2. And unfortunately, the Penguins are going to take one of our home games 4-2 with the final shots 41-31. I don't feel really good about this series at this point. I liked our game 1, but that third period in the last game makes me feel like our team is a little bit more on edge than we think. And this game wasn't terrible, but the fact that we end up giving up a goal after we tied it up kind of sucks. Pollock from Schaefer and Trotter, and we had Mäkinen from Schaefer and Samsonov. I think we got to make some sort of an offensive adjustment too. But yeah, Teufel is stifling us. I told you guys that pun a couple seasons ago when we played the Penguins before. I said I hope he doesn't stifle us. Well, so far he's been kind of stifling us a bit these last 2 games at least. And his team has found his offensive game, which is not great. So let's go to Ed Lines and make some adjustments here and see what we could do to try and get this team to perform a little bit better. So the top line has been pretty good. The second line, a little bit quiet from Kazanov. I will move Trotter up maybe, or should I put Dempsey up? Dempsey's usually been good too. Trotter has pretty similar stat line. Let's get Trotter into that spot. We will also put Ragnarsson maybe back to the top line so Trotter could play with Samsonov instead. Even though Samsonov's been better than Ragnarsson, I think. Ooh, Ragnarsson's actually been terrible. 3 points in 9 games, -5. You know what? We're going to move Ragnarsson down to the third line. I don't like demoting a guy like that to the third line, but let's keep Samsonov top line. We'll have Trotter and Dempsey move up with Ashton. Pollock could move up, but I'm going to keep him on a line with some really good players, so that should help him out producing-wise. And then that fourth line can basically just stay the same. Defensively, how has Carlton been? He's -3. Let's move Carlton down to the top 6 pairing, give Smith a chance to play with Holmstrom. And then goaltending-wise, we will go back to Esteban. But I'm really hoping that this team can find its offensive game a bit, just because it's been a bit quiet. How has Houghton been since being in the lineup? 2 points in 4 games +2. Hasn't been terrible. All right, let's keep the rest of that the same. A bit of adjustments, but is it enough to get our team to tie the series up? Is it going to be a back-and-forth series, or are we going to lose our 3rd straight game? I really hope not. Because if we could win this game, it's still anybody's series. If we lose this game, it's going to be a really tough hill to climb, especially against an offensive team like the Penguins. So let's get to game number 4 and see if we could actually find a way to have a lead after the first period. That's one thing that needs to potentially change. First period, game 4. 2-1 us. Okay, we do have the lead for the first time after the first period, and we do score goals in the first period for the first time against the Penguins. So Houghton scores shorthanded. Nice to see him scoring a shorthanded goal. They didn't score on the same power play, I think, potentially, and it's their top line guy, Petnin. He's been a thorn in our side as well. And then Ashton restores the lead for us. Shots are 12-10 in favor of us, but we're only up by a goal. But so far, much better start to us offensively, but not as strong defensively, I would say, maybe. Can we find a way to keep this lead intact going into the third? Second period. 4-1 us. Let's go. Great insurance markers. Pollock with 2 goals. That's why I love Pollock, man. That would be, I think, his 8th goal of the playoffs, potentially, these 2. He's been brilliant. Like, I don't expect him to do much. Like I said, 10 goals in the regular season, but he has picked up 8 goals already. And we're not even down the second round yet. Like, this is impressive. So, Pollock playing next to guys like Ragnarsson on that third line and Kazanov. Obviously, Ragnarsson and Kazanov shouldn't be on the third line, but Pollock playing with them will obviously elevate his play quite a bit. So, we're up by 3 goals going into the third period. Shots are exactly the same, 20-20. Let's see what happens in the third period. See if we can lock down the Penguins. And then it'll be a best of 3 going forward. Third period underway. But yeah, Pollock's been fantastic, man. Once he gets going, he just doesn't stop. So I really like that guy so far. I feel like he could play in our top 6 easily, but there's not really a player I want to demote to the third line like Ashton or Mäkinen for that matter. So final few minutes here of the third period, and we lock it down defensively. We win 4-1, so that's back to playing like game 1 and also like the last 2 games against the Flyers. Another good defensive effort, and our team also finds a bit of offense too. Final shots 33-28 in favor of the Pittsburgh Penguins, but we win by 3 goals. So Houghton in from Mäkinen, we had Ashton from Lockhart and Samsonov, and then yeah, Pollock's 7th from Ragnarsson and Carlton, and Pollock's 8th from Kazanov and Ragnarsson. So I didn't expect Pollock to be a goal scorer for us in the playoffs this year, but he has definitely been one of my favorite players in this round so far, or these last 2 rounds, I should say. So Nicholas the 1st star, Pollock 2nd star, Ragnarsson the 3rd star. All right. Well, that's at least good that we still split our home games, because like I said, if we were down 3-1, it would not be great. But now it seems like it's a back and forth, which means some teams eventually going to win 2 in a row. Or maybe more than 2 in a row. Because I've seen back and forth type of series where basically it's like flip-flop, and then one team wins 2 in a row here. So I am a little skeptical that we might lose 2 in a row, but who knows? If we find this type of effort and this type of effort, we can win games. Obviously, if we're playing like this is going to be much harder for us to win. So let's keep the team the same. It did enough in last game. Obviously, we could make adjustments if we really wanted to, but since we're coming off a victory, we're going to keep it the same and see if we could take our series lead back. So here we go. Going to Pittsburgh on the road. So this is going to be a tough game. Can we find a way to get back a series lead? Because we haven't had a series lead in a little bit. First period. 2-0 Penguins. The inconsistencies with this team right now is not great. Fedorov and Escalante score. I feel like I've seen those guys score multiple times in the series as well. This has been a really tough team to go up against this Penguins team. I hope that our team has a good response in the second period, but that's another bad first period where we are trailing after 1, so we don't give ourselves a lot of time to tie this game up. So shots are 14-13, so it was a close period in terms of generating chances, but seems like their goaltender comes to play in the first, and usually we don't come to play defensively in the first period. So do we have a response in the second period? Can we at least get a goal to pull within 1, or can we find a way to respond with 2 unanswered goals or something like that? Second period. And it's still 2-0. That's the worst case scenario. We're now shooting them 28-21, but we're still down by 2 goals. This is not good for this game, but like I said, it might go all the way to Game 7 potentially at this rate too still, so we got to find a way to have a strong third period here. Maybe find a way to win this game still. If we don't find a way to win it, though, We got to win 2 in a row to find a way to beat Pittsburgh. And we got to find a way to win 1 in Pittsburgh if we want a chance to close out the series. So let's see what happens in this third period. See if we could find a way to maybe get an early goal and set the tone for the rest of the third period. And maybe that could give us a chance to tie this one up. Third period underway. Can we find an early goal here on our side to get us within 1? Power play for us. And we do not score. Seems like it's one of those games that our offense is just not existent. Like, it's generating chances, but it just can't find ways to score on Teufel, unfortunately, right now. Final few minutes, still down by a pair of goals. We do pull within 1. Lockhart scores. Can we tie it up? The answer is no, unfortunately. And the Pittsburgh Penguins find a way to play good defensively against us. We lose 2-1 despite outshooting them 36-33. So that's a game that could have probably went either way. But we definitely needed to start the game stronger than we did. So we are on the brink of elimination in the second round, which we have not been eliminated in the second round at all in the last 10 years. It's always been either round 3, cup finals, or the first round for one time only. So it's kind of a rare sighting for us to be in this position right now. But Lockhart's third of the playoffs from Makinen and Samsonov is our only goal. Lockhart's been a little bit quiet at times. But yeah, anyways, 3 stars, Teufel, Nicholas, and Eskalainen. That one could have went either way. We just got to find a way to win on home ice, and then we can force a game 7. And are you kidding me? This is the reason why I had him out, is because I didn't want him to get re-injured. And then he gets healthy, but he gets re-injured now with an upper body injury. So, unfortunately, Houghton will not be back, and that could be the end of his career right there. We might never see Houghton play again because of that injury, just because we're on the brink of elimination. But that's quite substantial. He will be back next round if we get there. Keyword, if we get there. Or keywords, I should say, if we get there. That's not great. Let's get Strombo back in. Actually, does he not work with Bannister? I feel like it's glitched out, though. We'll double check, but let's just make sure the lines are going like that. Let's go back to this again. Let's go back to this. And shootout lines. Why do shootout lines matter in the playoffs? Like, it shouldn't matter when we get to playoff hockey about having to address the shootout. Because it's not like we're going to go to a shootout for the Stanley Cup. That would be insane. Let's just go like this. Go back to this. Oh, man. Lysak's in 81 now. Damn, there's some good players that we could call up if we really wanted to in the AHL. But I'm not too sure if I want to do that. But yeah, that defensive pairing's fine. So what we're going to do, though, since we're missing our offensive defenseman and Houghton and no, I am going to be giving Smith power play time instead of Strombo. So Smith will get some power play time. And maybe he could do some stuff while Houghton is out. So we'll get Smith in that spot. I know I made a -1, but it doesn't really matter that much. Would I call up anybody from the HL for the playoffs? Markstrom's pretty much ready. Oh my goodness, I hate when it glitches out like that. Markstrom's pretty much ready. Menino could play potentially. Lysak's literally 81, which is really good. Koivinen's a 79. I could get Lysak up and put him on the 4th line. But aside from that, there's not really any other slots to put him in. I might have to just wait till next season on him. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. Aside from that, though, we might need to make some other adjustments, but I don't know what I want to do. I have to press back first because this thing's glitched out for some reason again. But I don't know if there's any other adjustments we need to make. Because I feel like last game was good defensively, good goaltending. It's just our offense could not find itself. So, let's see what we got. 6 goals, 6 assists. Makinen's been fantastic. Ashton's on 7 points. And then you have Pollock on 8 goals, no assists. Like, I feel like we could move Pollock up. He's not great at faceoffs either. So we could potentially use him more as a left winger if we really want to. And then Trotter could play on this 3rd line. Ragnarsson, I think, could take faceoffs if I remember right. Not the craziest. Kazanov's better, so we'll put Kazanov down the middle instead with Ragnarsson there. Actually, let's move Ragnarsson back into the top 6 a bit. And we'll do Trotter, Dempsey, Kazanov. And then, yeah, putting Pollock in the top 6 is just a random choice, just because his goal scoring has been on point this playoffs. Like, he's literally shooting 32% right now. So, trying to get the hot hand to continue scoring. And then from a defensive standpoint, I think we got to keep it like this, just because Houghton's out. And goaltending will stay with Nicholas probably as well. But I really hope this is not the last time we see these two guys. Honestly, if we lose this game, it could be the last time we see both of them with our team or retired. They could be both retired. Also, Makinen could be retired too because he's an 84 now. So this is a big game. This could be the last chance we have to win a Stanley Cup, so we got to find a way to win this game and get it to a Game 7. If we do not get it to a Game 7, then our series potentially might be almost over. Like, we have still a few more years left of this, but there's a chance that we might not make the playoffs or make it that far in the playoffs again. So, yeah, damn, a lot relies on this game. It's kind of scary to think that this could be our last good chance to get a cup if we lose this game, so we got to find a way to win for Crane. We got to find a way to win for Houghton, get it to the next round. And when we get to the next round, if we do get there, we got to find a way to continuously play good. We have not been consistent enough. Our special teams have maybe been our downfall right now because you can see our power play is only clicking at 5.3%. So we need that power play to start heating up a bit. It was okay during the regular season, I think, but maybe that's something we should look at before we start this game. I know I just put Smith on the power play, but is there any other stuff we could do to the power play? Oh, the first unit's -1 too. I didn't even realize that. Let's maybe move. Let's maybe move Lockhart to the second unit. Who's on the left wing on this unit? Kazanov. Yeah, let's move Kazanov to the top unit, Lockhart to the second unit. Something like that. Obviously, this new head coach that we have might be the problem too with our special teams because in the past I feel like we've been successful, but small little adjustment there just to try and reconfigure things a bit, get some different chemistry and different looks. So that's what we're going to do, and is it going to be enough to get us to win this game on home ice and force a Game 7? Like I said, it really sucks that both Houghton and Crane are also injured in this one because I really want to see them out there again, but we might not get to if we lose this game and both of them retire. I think we might lose Houghton for sure. Crane, I'm honestly thinking he's going to come back for another year because he hasn't dropped off enough. Makinen's an interesting one. I think he could retire at the end of next season if he doesn't retire this year. So, kind of a bit scared on that. But, anyways, can we find a way to force a Game 7? It's been a little bit of an inconsistent series. We need to get off to a better start this game. That's as easy as it comes. We need to score goals in the first period, and we can't be giving up goals every single game in the first, pretty much. So, let's get off to a better start this one and force a Game 7. Come on, boys. Real-time sim. We open the scoring, it's Makinen. That's good to see. But they answer right back, which is not great to see. Eskalainen and a couple Finns score. I bet you Makinen and Eskalainen and Pettinen all play on the same Finnish national team, which is interesting. Waters scores for them, so that's another top-line goal for the Penguins. Not liking the way we're coming out here defensively. We need to find a way to tie this one up, though. And we're down 2-1 going into the second period with the shots 13-8. So definitely not on Nicholas that first period, I would say. It's probably more on the fact that we scored first. Because when you score first early on, I don't like it fully. But we are still in this game, so we need to have a strong second period. Don't give up any more goals. Find a way to tie us up, and then hopefully goaltending and stuff like that could keep on pace. But so far, not looking too good for an elimination game. Can we find a way to tie this up in a second? Second period underway. Penalty kill to start the second. I don't know who took that penalty, but you got to be disciplined, man. And if another Finn scores, it's Esa Henricius, I think his name was, makes it a 3-1 game for the Penguins. I do not feel good about this, man. Power play for us. It's a 5-on-3. Our power play has been so bad so far, and it doesn't score again. God damn it, man. The downfall of our power play. We're down by 2 goals going into the third. We only have 12 shots on goal in an elimination game. Trying to find ways to score goals on Teufel with only 12 shots is pretty lackluster. So this isn't looking too good. Unless we have a good third period comeback in our hands, it looks like we're potentially going to be knocked out in the second round with this new head coach. I kind of wish we had the old head coach still because I feel like he would probably still get us far in the playoffs. But this coach has not been as good of a fit, I feel like. He's been making us more of a defensive coach with some weird stuff. So we need to have a strong third period here. I would jump in and watch the entire third, but I feel like it might make the episode too long. Yeah, probably would. Trying to think. Because there could be a Game 7 after this. You know what? For this being our last playoff run of all time, potentially, our last deep playoff run, we're going to jump in and watch the entire third period and see if we can maybe rally these boys back in this game. It's not something I normally would do, but I kind of wanted to see if our team can maybe get a rally if we jump in and watch. So we will watch this game. Our defensive rating's only a 77. Damn, man. That's kind of harsh. I thought it would be a lot better than that. But yeah, let's jump in, We'll watch this third period, see if we could find a way to get some goal scoring, but right now it looks like we're probably going to be locked out in 6 games, and unfortunately in the second round this year. All right, face-off is Mäkinen versus Pettinen, the 2 Finns, and it's a tie-up. We get possession. Here's Mäkinen finding Samsonov. Samsonov carries it in. Can't get it too far, though. Waters finds Eskalainen. Eskalainen wears 69. That's funny as hell. Here comes Pettinen. Pettinen for the Penguins, carrying it in. Nice defensive play by Schaefer. And Mäkinen will chase it down. Mäkinen up to Lockhart. Hopefully guys like Lockhart could step up here in this game. Lockhart finds Samsonov. Over to Schaefer. Lockhart again. Lockhart shoots. It's turned away. That's a good chance, though. But yeah, those acquisitions that we brought in this year, Samsonov's been probably the most impressive of the bunch, in my opinion. Lockhart's was really good during the regular season, but his playoffs so far, I don't really know how he's been. Holmstrom another chance, and that's turned away by Teufel, as we almost have full pressure here early on, which is good. Just got to keep on getting pucks to the net, because we don't have a lot of shots on net right now in this game. So if we can muster up some chances, we could definitely still find a way to get within 1 in this game. So Ashton on the draws. We have the second line out there. First time we're seeing other guys like Pollock and Smith and all that. So I don't like that Smith wears number 30 as a defenseman, though, because he looks like he should be a goalie. Trevico walks in. Nice save by Nicholas, and he'll freeze it. Right now, I don't feel like we're going to find a way to come back. There's still a lot of time on the clock, but I feel like these games that we jump into go by really fast in the third periods and stuff, so I do not know what to expect from the rest of this game, but hopefully we can find a way to get at least within 1, and maybe that could give us some momentum. Carlton with the puck. Carlton will lace it up, finds Mohamed Pollock, who's just got a bunch of goals this playoffs, tries to shoot it, can't get it through. Henrichs is poked, and he'll still get out, though. Glenn's wearing 87. Are you kidding me? That guy's literally wearing number 87 in Pittsburgh. Here's a chance for Smith. Smith in alone. No, turned away by Teufel. Damn, man. But, yeah, shout out to that guy for wearing 87, because it should be retired by now for the Penguins, but apparently Glenn thinks he's the next Sidney Crosby on this team, but goddamn. Anyways, Kazanov at the draw versus Henrichs. And Kazanov wins it. We do have pressure. Smith finds Trotter, can't get the shot. Smith another chance, and that's blocked by whoever 37 is. Dadonov finds Henrichs. Over to Caberlet. Caberlet with the puck, finds it over to Glenn onside. Glenn number 87, looking like Sidney Crosby out there, and Nicholas will make a big save. Damn, man. I feel like we're not getting enough sustained pressure on them. I know we had pressure for a little bit, but I feel like we're not doing enough to get ourselves within 1 here so far in this third period. Gotta get a power play or something. Maybe that could give us some momentum if we get one. Kazanov on the draw versus Domingue. Both third lines out there. Kazanov wins it. Carlton can't get it out fully, but now it's on the stick of Dempsey. He'll race up and dump it in. Dempsey chasing it down like a dog. Gets it to Sierra. Sierra finds Irwin. Nice play by Carlton with the stick. Carlton can't get it too far. Pecker with it, our former defenseman. Here is Kazanov throwing it over to Smith. Smith finds Trotter. Trotter shoots. That's off the post, I think. It might have got deflected. I think that hit the post. That's what it looked like to me, at least. Here's a 2-on-1 for the Penguins. Domingue. 3-on-1. Sierra to Pecker. Former defenseman blocked. Domingue out front. Pecker again. Turned away by Nicholas. Damn, man. We didn't play good defensively there at all. We gave out an odd man rush completely. We're lucky that a couple shot blocks happened, but damn, Smith got blown up in that hit. Yikes. There's only like 10 minutes left in this third. See, this goes by too quick, and our team doesn't generate enough. Like, I feel like we only have like 2 shots this period so far. Mäkinen wins the draw. Schaefer throws it up. Here is Samsonov. Over to Mäkinen, over to Holmstrom. Holmstrom finds it to Lockhart. Lockhart over to Mäkinen. We got it into the zone. Nice pass out front, and Teufel will take away the pass. And unfortunately, we don't get a nice chance in front. But I feel like this is what our team's going to look like next season, because Crane and Houghton probably won't be there. That's my guess, is they both might be retired. I want Crane back if he's going to be not retired. Houghton on the same thing, but if they both retire, then obviously this is probably what the team might look like next season. Like, we might have a chance to re-sign some guys like Samsonov and all that. Lockhart Can't get in. Now he's got it, and he's poke checked. Here is Waters. Not enough time on the clock, man. We have literally 8 minutes to score 2 goals. Eskalainen a chance in tight, turned away by Nicholas. Come on, guys, get it out. We need to be getting some offensive pressure here. This is a potential elimination game. Here is Pollock again. He's been our best goal scorer so far this playoffs. He's got a chance, and he's turned away by Teufel. I like the look on his release. It's nice, like, quick snap. But Teufel turns them away again. Teufel's been a bit of a thorn in our side. I feel like the Penguins, if they beat us, they'd win the Stanley Cup. That's my prediction right now. Ashton on the draw. Come on, Ashton. Wins it. Here's Holmstrom shoots, and that's turned away as well by Teufel. Every time we get a chance, it's just turned away by Teufel. Which sucks. Eskalainen with it for the Penguins. He finds Pettinen. Pettinen makes a move to the inside. Nice defensive recovery. Here's a nice pass up. Here is Ragnarsson. Come on, Ragnarsson. You got to use some speed, man. Ragnarsson isn't getting help. Pettinen takes him out of the play. Ragnarsson steals it back. Nice little battle between the two. But they get possession somehow. Eskalainen with it for the Penguins. Finds Perry with a bomb, and that's turned away by Nicholas. I can see why that Perry guy scored multiple goals in the series. Nice little clap shot. And he jumped in offensively, too. Oh, man. Really sucks that we were probably going to be going out here in the second round. Because I thought this team was probably good enough to get ourselves a Stanley Cup, but I feel like the injuries have just piled up too much late in this season. Hybert with the puck. Hybert finds it to Terry. Terry gets a weird shot away. Teufel will stop it. And like I said, though, I felt like some team was going to win 2 in a row and knock out the other team. And I might be right. I might be right. Both teams have their 4th lines out there at this time. So Howe's on the draw versus Fedorov, who's got multiple goals against us, and he won it. Nice little play to keep it in the zone, but then we immediately turned it over. Goddamn, man. Cook finds Fedorov. Fedorov walks in with a shot turned away by Nicholas. Terry gets hit and loses possession of the puck. The Penguins now have full pressure. Fedorov can't get the pass through, and are we going to get it out? Yes, we are. Bannister jumps in. Bannister to DFD. He's got good speed. A shot, and Teufel the save with 2:37 left. Goddamn, Teufel's just been in the perfect position on every single shot we've thrown at him in this third period. This is unfortunate, man. If we lose this, basically, I don't know if we're going to have another chance. And like I said, we have not won a Stanley Cup yet in the series, so this might be one of my first ever series that we never win a Stanley Cup in, unless we find a way to win it next year. Schaefer a chance. Lockhart, and that's turned away by Teufel again. Goddamn. I'm really surprised I haven't won a Stanley Cup in the series yet, just because we've had some really good regular season success. Playoff-wise, we've gotten really far multiple times in a row, or more than multiple, I should say, even. And we still haven't gotten it done. Lockhart can't get it through. Here is Trevica for them. We're down to the final 2 minutes of this third period. Still down by a pair of goals. Nice save there by Nicholas, and then that guy just knocked Holmstrom right into the net. Kind of a dirty play there by Glenn to shove him into the crossbar. At least the faceoff will be outside of the zone with 1:45 left. Come on, guys. We need to find a way to get into their zone because we are going to have to pull the goalie probably soon. Glenn with it for Pittsburgh. Glenn throws it over. Nobody covers Sierra. Sierra, a bomb, and that is almost in the net. That's kind of scary. Considering Sierra used to play with us. Here is Samsonov. We do pull the goalie, but Samsonov got checked off the puck. And Sierra with it finds Glenn, and Glenn will hit the empty net. A.K.A. Sidney Crosby 2.0, apparently. And unfortunately, we are going to be getting knocked out here in the second round of the playoffs. And that might be the dagger that makes us never win a Stanley Cup in the series. I'm at a loss for words. Like I said, I don't feel as disappointed as I have in the past. But this is still just disappointing that this team could not find a way to get themselves to that Stanley Cup Finals and win a Stanley Cup at some point. Because I don't know if this team will get another good chance next year. It really comes down to the retirements, because I do think we're going to lose somebody in this episode. And it could be multiple people, too. Will it free up a lot of cap space? Yes, but is it enough to help our team out for next year? I don't really know. But, yeah, man, this is disappointing. And we don't get to see... Oh, my goodness, and then they just score another one. What are we doing, boys? You don't need to allow a goal after an empty net goal. Jukka Pettinen makes it 5-1. But it's just disappointing that we never got to see probably Houghton out there again for like his last shift. Damn, that was a one-handed poke check goal too by Pettinen. That guy is filthy. Look at that play. God damn. Nicholas was way out of position on that. But, yeah, if we never get to see those guys out there again, it's just disappointing. Like, if Crane and Makinen and all those dudes retire, yeah, that is disappointing to think about. But at least we had some really good players in the series, but I don't know if we're going to really get a chance to win a cup. We're definitely going to still try again for next season and get the rest of the series done, but it's probably one of my most disappointing series in terms of playoff success. Like I said, at least we've gotten really far. We've gotten to a lot of finals, but we've never won. So, got to find a way to win it next year. Got to find a way. Samson off to Makinen. That's turned away. And Teufel will freeze it again. That's kind of embarrassing, though we gave up a goal after giving up an empty net goal. Like, it made it 4-1. So, at that point, the Penguins probably just should keep off the gas. But then they just get another one just to add that salt to the wound. But this is disappointing, man. Very, very disappointing. Perry with it for Pittsburgh. Don't let them score anymore. Oh my goodness. Yo, this is actually disrespectful. And this makes me want to slap the Penguins in the face. It just reminds me of, like, when the Penguins played, like, the Sens and the Blue Jackets and all that stuff in the playoffs. I hated the Penguins a lot. This is just giving me that hate back. Like, what's the point on you guys scoring 2 goals after an empty net goal? Like, you don't need a showboat at this point. You could just be like, maybe we'll stay off the gas a bit. But they scored 2 more goals on top of that. And their top line has come alive as well. I definitely think they're a favorite to win the Stanley Cup. I feel like their top line's just really good. They have a goaltender that could get them far. But, man. And then also look at that. He's getting the crowd in it, too. He's just raising his fist, too. That's just disrespectful, man. Pednan's probably their captain, I would assume, unless it's Eskalainen. But this is disappointing. It looked like it was a close game in this third period until it wasn't. Here is Ashton, and he lost it. God damn, man. The Penguins are just so sound defensively, too. It looks like. Pednan with it again. Get it away. Nice defensive play by Pollock. At least he's not giving up there. And unfortunately, we're going to be knocked out in the second round for the first time in a very, very long time. Last time we were knocked out in the second round, we probably had Matt Barzal or something on our team. So, it's been a long time since we've been knocked out in general before the third round. So, this is disappointing. Is it because of the new coach? Maybe. It's tough to say. But there's the handshake line. And Eskalainen must be their captain based on that. But another disappointing end to a season. Another disappointing end. God damn. So, yeah, their top liners came alive in that game. 3 points for Waters. That means Eskalainen and the other dude are probably stars as well, my guess. Eskalainen's second star, 3 points. And what about the first star? Is it the other dude? Is it the other Finnish dude? Or is it somebody else? But, yeah, definitely that top line was the main reason why they won the series. Pednan, 4 points. Yeah, see, if we were able to contain that top line this entire series, we would have had a better chance. But, yeah, the stat line's not looking too good. A lot of minus people. Smith was a -3, probably all in that third period. And then Nicholas didn't play the best either. But I'm not going to put it on him, really. I'm going to put it more on the defensive play again. And just since this is Makinen's potentially the last NHL game or one of his last NHL games, we do need to get a screenshot of him potentially. So we're going to look and see if we could get a screenshot of him just because he might be retiring really soon. It could be this season, could be in seasons to come. But I do want to get him out there one more time if we could find one, which might be before this face-off. I don't remember when it was. Oh, there it is. Let's get him a little bit further away from the net so we don't have to be reminded about these Pittsburgh memories and stuff like that. But let's go with that. Ooh, look, the mascot in the background too. Let's do that, sure. Let's take a nice screenshot of that so we have at least a screenshot of Makinen just in case he decides to call it quits at this point in time. All right, so that is that. Let's go back to here and find out who wins the Stanley Cup, the retirements, and all that stuff for this episode. But like I said, disappointing end to another season. But I did feel like the Pittsburgh Penguins were a team that could beat us, and it made sense considering they were above us in the standings and all that. But I kind of felt like we could have maybe cheesed them too, but it did not happen like that. All right, anyways, our final stats for this playoff run. Let's take a look at some player stats. Hopefully we don't lose any crazy people to retirement this offseason, but we probably will. So Samsonov on 14 points in 12 games. He was fantastic. Like I said, if Crane retires, I wouldn't mind bringing him and guys like Lockhart back potentially. So we'll see on that. But great playoffs from Samsonov. Makinen was over point per game as well. Lockhart was actually good. I thought he was maybe a little bit quiet. Maybe it's because he only scored 3 goals, but 11 points is good. Pollock on 8 goals was fantastic. So excited to see what he could do maybe next year. Dempsey on 8 points. Still some good depth scoring, but some guys did not perform. Like Ragnarsson was probably the most disappointing he's ever been. Only 5 points in 12 games and a -5. Only 2 goals. So he was probably pretty snake-bitten. But after a 25-goal regular season, you'd expect maybe a bit more out of him. Kazanov was also pretty disappointing. Only 1 goal and 4 points. So a couple of guys really underperformed, in my opinion. Defensively, Schaefer was good. Bannister had 4 points. He was actually one of the best offensive defensemen despite being a DFD. So that's kind of strange. Houghton was solid when he was playing. Obviously, he was not super healthy, though. And Strombo was decent when he did play, too. And from a goaltending perspective, Nicholas had some ups and downs, but he wasn't terrible. And Irwin was pretty good for the most part. But unfortunately, he did get a loss as well this playoff run. All right, now comes the question. Do we have any retirements? Do we lose Crane? Do we lose Houghton? All that stuff. Well, actually, we need to find out the awards first, so we'll find that out first. But do you guys think we're going to lose anybody? There's Houghton back. Speaking of which, let's just go best lines. But is it a year we lose somebody to retirement? Crane is back now too, of course. But now that means we have to put somebody down to the AHL just because of that. So we'll just send Strombo down as the guy for the time being. Doesn't really matter at this point, because there's no waivers anyways. I wonder if Crane's going to retire, man. I really hope he doesn't, but I feel like somebody is. Buffalo fires their head coach. Okay. And the Florida Panthers win the Stanley Cup, so we didn't even lose to the best team in the East. Florida knocked out Pittsburgh and then won the Stanley Cup in 2046, which means we're back to pretty much where we were in the beginning of this franchise mode, where the Panthers were one of the best teams in the NHL. Damn. Who did Florida beat for the Stanley Cup? Who did they beat? The answer, the Calgary Flames. So Calgary went back to the finals again, and they lost this time to Florida. So Calgary's definitely been a really good team as of late, but they do lose to the Panthers. The Panthers actually beat the Penguins in 7, so the Penguins were pretty close to getting to that Cup finals, but they did not. And in the AHL, Iowa ended up beating Springfield for the finals. All right, so let's take a look at that Cup-winning Florida Panthers team just for fun, just in case there's any former players on it. But Florida gets it done in 2046. How are we in 2046? But this is their team anyways. Yeah, that guy, J.C. Burnett, I remember him. Goddard. Any former guys that used to play at the Islanders? Maybe we should have brought in Nielakainen. I know some of you guys were saying not to bring in Nielakainen because he might regress. Well, he just had a very good playoffs. And regular season, he had another 34 goals. So maybe we should have brought him in instead of Lockhart. Really tough to say. But damn, man. He does get a Stanley Cup. So shout out to Pekka Nielakainen. Another guy that gets a Stanley Cup, a former Penguin and former player of ours, Joshua Legg, has gotten himself a Stanley Cup now too. God damn. All these former players are winning Stanley Cups without us. Like, at least I could say that we drafted really well in this series, but it didn't work out well enough for us. It worked out for every other team, especially. All right, what about defensively? Nobody used to play with us there. And goaltending. Oh, Keith Pronger. Of course, Keith Pronger is good. Damn, man. So a couple of former Islanders winning the Stanley Cup. What else is new? In terms of awards, though, for the season, Florida wins the Stanley Cup. Calgary was in the finals for the second time in the last 3 years. Vegas did win the President's Trophy. And that's that. And that's the first time we haven't been in the finals in quite a while. In terms of individual awards, Guerin wins another Art Ross and another Hart, not a surprise. Punos wins his second straight Norris. Hakkarainen won the Lady Byng. Smaby wins the Calder. Burnett wins the Conn Smythe. Legwand won another Vezina. He's got 3 Vezinas in the last 4 years. This guy's insane. He also won another Jennings. Manning wins the Masterton for Buffalo. Toronto's head coach to Jack Adams. Ritchie wins the Selke. Guerin the Lindsay. And Pednin wins the Richard. AHL award-wise, any AHL award winners for our team? Yep. Lysak was the best rookie player in the league. So he will be NHL bound next season, which is an exciting thing, at least to give us a bit more depth just in case we lose anybody. Aside from that, though, no other AHL award winners. All right, at least we did have an award in the minors. That's good to see. All right, now comes the scary part, though. Are we going to lose anybody to retirement? Is this going to be the last time we see Mäkinen, Crane, and Houghton, or at least one of the three guys? I feel like it's going to be probably Houghton now retires this year, and then I think Mäkinen and Crane might wait a little bit. That's my prediction right now. But also, Crane got injured a lot this season, so maybe he calls it quits because of that. But anyways, the Ottawa Senators have the first overall pick, followed by Buffalo, Vancouver, Tampa, and Anaheim. All right. Goddamn, man. Who is going to retire and break my heart? Let's actually go full screen so we cannot look and see it. I'm going to change it over to goaltenders, and we're going to go by each position here. Actually, let's start off with... let's go with goaltenders. Make it a little bit more easier. So, start off with the goalies that retired. Nikita Khudobin is the best goalie that retires. He used to play with us. Was our draft pick of ours early in the series. 39 years old now. He did win a Stanley Cup after he left us, as most former Islanders do. Was in the AHL. But, yeah, solid goaltender. Didn't really get a lot of time with us, but we prioritized, I guess, in those days, Solovyov. So... And Solovyov didn't retire, speaking of which is surprising because he was a free agent, I'm pretty sure, all season. So Khudobin retires before Solovyov, which is interesting. Aside from that, some other good goaltenders retired, like Kolzig. I remember this guy winning a Vezina. We played against him before, I think maybe in a finals when he was with LA. Aside from that, I remember George Smith-Pelly playing against him before. A lot of these guys, I remember their names. So no crazy goaltenders other than Khudobin, who used to play with us. Defensively, this is where we might see our first retirement, so let's have a drum roll. Is there a retirement to Olli Houghton? The answer is no. Houghton decides not to call it quits yet, which means we're going to have to pay the man some money this offseason, but also he's going to be very... I don't know if he's going to be injury prone, but he's definitely going to be on the decline next season, so hopefully he's not asking for too much. He does not retire, which is kind of surprising because I think he was the one I thought was going to retire the most. So, but Healy retires. Hillen, I think I remember somebody's names. Is there any guy that used to play with us on defense that I recognize? I don't think so. So kind of surprised on that. I feel like I've seen Mathers before. Maybe it's a different Mathers I'm thinking of. All right, so there's the defensive retirements. Kind of surprised on that. Let's go to right wingers now. We don't have any guys that I don't think would retire on right wing. It's left wing and center we'd have to look at. But right wing wise, Oleg Semyonov has retired. He was the best player to retire for the Nashville Predators, 1,394 points. Phil Michelli, who used to play with us, retires with 974 points. He dropped off a lot. Never won a Stanley Cup after he left us, so one of the surprising players that never did. But he was a solid goal scorer for a little bit with his team. Aside from that, Guerrero, Gibbons, anybody that used to play with us on right side? Nobody that I really recognize. Huh. Okay. Left wing. Did we lose Crane to retirement? No, we did not. So Crane will be back again for another season if he's not too pricey. But I was kind of hoping we'd lose some player just so we can free up cap space. But these guys decide not to call it quits, which is surprisingly. Noel Rollison's the best left winger to retire, though. And look who also retired. Damian Wallace. Damian Wallace. I think that's the guy that used to play with us, right? No, it's not. Is it? No, it's not. Wow, I thought it was the Wallace that used to play in New York. Damn. Okay, so this is a different Wallace, but that might be his brother. Oh, yeah, 502 points. I guess I should have looked at that, but oh, well. Aside from that, any guy that used to play with us on this left wing side that I remember, not seeing anybody here either. Not even a lot of former players, too. Did Mäkinen retire? If Mäkinen retires, that would be the most surprising one. And he did not retire, so we did not lose a single player to retirement this season, which is quite weird. Yes, I was expecting somebody. I was expecting at least one player, but nobody decided to call it quits. Shout out to Dawson Lindros. He used to play with us. I don't think he won a cup after he left us. No, he didn't. Damn. I recognize this hybrid dude from somewhere. I don't know where. Yeah, not too sure. So there is that. So yeah, we didn't lose anybody to retirement, which is a massive surprise and might change things for the last few years of the series, but that will mean we'll have more money to like, or not, we might have more money to spend because maybe you guys won't get as much, but we do lose 3 scouts to retirement, so I guess our scouting pool is going to just get worse and worse as these years go on, but let's take a look at our situation we're in. So first and foremost, progress reports. We're going to have a lot of guys getting development and a lot of guys dropping off too. Guys like Smith are up to a top 4, which is great, but you can see there's some regression here. Makinen's down by a lot. Crane is down by a lot. And then Houghton is also on kind of statistical, I would assume, but he's also dropping off. Lyzak's NHL already, so he should probably be playing next year. We have a lot of bodies on the lineup still. And in the system, Bergenheim's ready to be that backup goaltender, so what do we do with the goalie situation? Do we basically trade Nicholas to free up a lot of cap space and run Irwin in Bergenheim? Or do we just leave Bergenheim in the minors more? I honestly don't know. That's a weird one. Defensively, let's see what we got for prospect growth. Some growth from Svedberg. He's up to a 74 at 19. That's pretty solid. Anybody in the offensive side of things? Hybrid's still 77. DeKaiser's a 77. Nice. We might have some guys jumping to the NHL next year, which is good. Gives us a little bit more of a chance to maybe go far again next year. But obviously our prospect pool isn't as good as it used to be. Alright, so there's that. Let's take a look at the draft class briefly. So draft board, what picks do we got? Only our first, and then we have a 4, 5, and 6, and a 7th. So everything but second and third round. And we're drafting 26th in round 1. Is there any steals that we could potentially get at 26th overall? The answer to that is tough to say right now. Wilson Webster looks like a top 6 forward. Oh, there's a low elite playmaker, Cooper Caffrey. I don't feel like we need forwards that much, but maybe we can take on somebody like that. There's also a medium 6 in Ludwig Jensen. He actually looks fantastic 1 year out. Maybe he's more impressive than that low elite. What about Wong? Logan Wong. Probably 65. What about Calder? Probably 65. What about Nystrom, who was a gem? Really good shooting, but probably nothing else. Any other steals we could pin for later rounds? Medium elite goalie. We don't really care too much about these drafts as much anymore, but it would be still nice to get some okay prospects in that might make an impact in these last 2 years or 3 years or whatever it is that we have left. This guy could be a low elite, but it's tough to say. He looks like he might be 2 years out, so we'll pin him in case. Matthias Payarvi, Blanchard probably is a low elite if he's a gym. It's tough to say. Yeah, he's probably a low elite. Yeah, okay. Well, the draft class is going to be interesting, but the final thing, which is probably the most important thing, is obviously what's going to happen this year in the re-sign stage. Here's all the big names that need contracts. And of course, Schaefer's going to want a ton of money because he's still an 88 and he's only 29. And yep, he wants $13 million right now. We do have the organizational interest on him, which is good. So I should be able to hypothetically talk him down to like way less than what he was asking for. Like maybe 11.925 for or 10.925 for 6 years. That might not be that bad. We could do it. We could also let him go, but also our defense core would take a huge hit. Aside from that, we have Crane to re-sign, who is on the regression path. He still thinks he's worth a good chunk of money. The good thing is he has organizational interest. So we should be able to still get him down to closer to 9. Yeah, closer to $9 million I think we could get him for. But it does feel like a lot of money for him at this stage, especially when he's going to be regressing. And this season, he had 45 points in 58 games, so he has been good. But obviously, he's very injury prone, and his career is probably very close to over. So I want Crane back, but I'm not too sure if it's an overpayment if we pay him the money he wants right now. Dempsey's an RFA, so we could always qualify him, but he also is going to be a pending UFA at the end of the year if we don't give him more than a year. but right now his asking price is a bit too high, so we probably will qualify him. Lockhart's also a pending UFA. We just brought him in. I don't know if we'll bring him back. He wants 7.8 right now, but he does like our organization enough that he could drop his asking price to the lower 7s, which is not bad. Samsonov, I did really like his playoff performance and regular season too. He scored a lot of goals. He wants 9.75, which is a lot of money. I feel like the only way we could get a lot of these guys back if we really wanted to would be to trade away Nicholas, maybe. But tough to say. And then another big one who's been here for a very long time is Houghton. He will probably not want as much as before, my guess. But let's see how much he's asking for. 8.325. He does have that organizational interest, which is good. So we could definitely get him back at like 7.5 around, which might be a little high for his agent overall, but I feel like he could still produce at a good level right now. So it's going to be pricey to bring back Raiden Houghton, but I think they need to retire with this organization. I just feel like it's kind of a disservice if we let them go. Aside from that, Trotter obviously is an RFA, so that's okay. Bannister, Ramsey are UFAs. We have a lot of guys up for renewal. We probably don't have the craziest amount of cap space, so we might be screwed. We might be screwed. And then Irwin's going to want a one-way deal, I think, this season. Yeah, $950, that's not too bad. But, yeah, we might have to free up some cap space via trades or something like that. That might be the play. That might be the play. So, anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of New York Islanders Franchise Mode. So, next episode, we will take it to the draft and re-sign stage. We'll see what we're able to do in terms of bringing our players back. Like I said, I want Crane and Houghton back on this team again next season, I feel like. But I feel like I also don't want to overpay on them too much. So, is it a bit of a risk to basically pay them as much money as we are doing? Probably, but I feel like they deserve to retire with this organization, even though that means that we have like literally no Stanley Cup right now. And they might not get a Stanley Cup if they play with this organization. Like, maybe it's better for them to go to a different organization to win a Stanley Cup or something, but I don't feel like I really want to do that. I feel like they deserve to retire here because they've been playing here for so long. So let me know down below, and I'll see you guys next time.